Hey guys, this is Rachel from 3rd CSE, and today I will be explaining my 6th exercise in database systems. So it is PLSQL programming. The main concepts that we are going to see in this exercise is usage of procedures and functions and using cursors along with cursors too. So the aim of this is to implement procedures and functions on a furniture company database. And what are procedures and functions? I'll give a short description on what are procedures and functions. So procedure is a stored procedure or in a simple procedure named PLSQL block which performs one or more specific tasks. This is similar to a procedure in other programming languages. Procedure and functions are almost similar, but the only difference between them is that function returns a value, but procedure may or may not return a value. It's not compulsory that a procedure must return a value, but on the other hand, the function must return the value. So as you can see in the syntax, it starts with create or replace. This replace is used because if any other changes are further made to that particular procedure, it will be stored. Like each time the programmer can do it, doesn't have to write the procedure again. So instead, if he uses replace, then the correction can be made on the already existing procedure. So it starts with create or replace procedure, then is where you declare variables, and then begin is execution section, and exception is where you give an exception. It can be a user defined exception, and end is how you end the program. So function is the same thing, but it returns a value. So the procedure and the functions are almost similar. And I'll be moving on to my questions now. Okay, so in this, the first question I have to do is to write a PLSQL procedure that will accept the product ID from the user, check if the product is supplied by the supplier, and display the status. So for this first question, I'm going to be using a procedure along with the cursor. So as you can see, create or replace procedure is the starting for my procedure, and the procedure name is EP procedure 1. So I'm going to give the number, and here in stands for input, where the data type of that number is going to be varchar2, and then is where the variables are declared. And then since the cursor is there, we are just adding another right varchar2. So the value, O's value can be, O's data type is assigned to as varchar2. And for starting a cursor, we just have to use the keyword cursor c1, and inside we just give the particular command query which we need to obtain the to check if to obtain the product ID from the supplier, and where the product ID is equal to number. This number is a value which will be given as an input by the user. So as you can see here, with the keyword begin, the execution starts. So open C1, that is the cursor 1. We have to fetch C1's value into O. So whatever value is fetched for C1, that will be stored in O, and we have to close C1. Then in this if loop, I have done if O's value is equal to number, then the product ID is said to be supplied. If it is not done, then the product ID is not supplied. So this I can display using dbms output.putLine, and then I have to write a PLSQL block for this. So PLSQL block is also almost similar to the procedure. It has a declare, it has a begin, it has exception and end. But since here I don't have anything to be declared, I'm just using begin, and then I've just called this function e procedure 1, and this 1000 is the value which is inputted by the user, and this value will be taken into this number, into this parameter number, and that would be passed here, and the output is displayed. As you can see, 1000 is the product ID is supplied, and the procedure has been successfully completed. This is for my first question. The second is to write a procedure to calculate the total price for the product that has been supplied and and pass the supplier ID as the argument. So here in the second procedure, create or replace the procedure, and this is my procedure name. I have given the parameters. Procedure and functions may or may not have parameters. It's not a compulsory thing that the parameters must be there. So it starts with the is, and inside the begin we have we give the query select distinct, the price is chosen, and that value is inputted into PR, which is another variable from the order line table, where the product ID is equal to the product ID from supplier, where the SID is equal to number. Again, this number is a value which is inputted by the user. The same thing is done again for the query select distinct ordered quantity, which we are choosing the ordered quantity from the supplier table, and the output is printed the total price of the product with the particular ID, the person, I mean the user inputs a number, and the price for that is calculated as price into the quantity, like how many of that object has been bought, so that into the price. And finally the procedure, I'm sorry, it's right here. Procedure will be created, and then for this we have for the PLSQL block is written here. PLSQL here, as you can see here in this PLSQL block, I've used declare keyword to determine a particular variable. That can be done in PLSQL block too. And again, when I've called this function, I've passed the 3 parameters as the input, and this function is called, and finally you can see the total price of the product with the supplier ID S1 is 7500. So the quantity is multiplied with the price of one particular product, and then the total price has been displayed. So the procedure has been successfully completed. That is for my second question. The third question is to write a procedure raise quantity which increases the quantity of the ordered product. It accepts an order ID and quantity to be increased. It uses an order ID to find the current quantity from the order table and update the quantity. So we are just going to have print two different values, the current quantity and the quantity after it's being updated. So here I've done the third one here. Yeah, just a minute. So as you can see, in the third one, I've created another procedure as raise quantity, and the parameters have been passed. So inside the execution part, I have select the order quantity into that particular variable Q1 from the order line table, where the order ID will be equal to O. And if that is the current ordered quantity, like before, and a particular quantity is, I mean a particular like more of that object is being added into the table, so the initial current order quantity will give me the current value of that particular product. And then after updation is done using the update keyword, update order line table and set the order quantity is equal to q1 plus q, where the order id is equal to 0. So the dbms output will be created as update order quantity, and that will be displayed after we have updated the particular quantity. So in my PLSQL block, I've written declare EQ number, begin and raise quantity, and this is how the function is being called. As you can see, the current ordered quantity is 10, and after a value of 5 is added, the updated order quantity is 15. So this procedure has been successfully completed. For my fourth question is to write a PLSQL function status to return the value supplied if the product number is passed into its available in the supplier table, else it will return not supplied. So when the user inputs the particular ID of the particular product, it must the message must be displayed as either if the product has been supplied or if it has not been supplied. So this is how it's done. So I've just created here. I've used a function. So the function's name will be status, and this will be my input parameter. As you can see, I told you before that function must return a value. So return, and var2 is that data type. My output is going to be returned in. So, and here I've declared two other variables. Again, I've created a cursor, and inside the if loop, if O is equal to the number, like the number which the user enters, we have to write if it is supplied, else we can write it is not, it's not being supplied, and the function has thus been created. And when the user calls that particular function inside an PLSQL block, the number which is being passed in by the user is 2000. So when the output is printed, finally it is going to be if that particular product has been supplied, then the result is going to be supplied, or it is going to display that it has not been supplied, and the procedure has thus been successfully completed. So my fifth question is to write a PLSQL function to return the product name when the product ID is passed as an argument. So I just have to get the product description for this question, and as you can see, sorry, yeah, so this is going to be my fifth question. So here I've created another function, procedure 5, and I've given the input parameter, and The query here is to select the distinct product description into the particular variable called name from the product, where the product ID is equal to number. So the number is something which will be inputted by the user, and the product description of that particular product ID will be obtained from the table. So the function is called, and as you can see, the number inputted by the user is 2000, and the product name will be displayed as office chair. So the particular product ID, particular product which has the product ID 2000 is office chair. So my sixth question is to write a PL SQL function to return the maximum quantity ordered by customers. So it is going to check the maximum quantity which has been ordered by the customers. So as you can see, the same function here, as you can see in my function, I have not passed any arguments. That is possible too, because the functions and procedure might or might not take parameters. So again, I have used return keyword, and I have returned the data type. I've given the data type of the number which is being returned, and then in my query I have used select maximum of ordered quantity into the variable quantity from the order line table, and then when I've called my function, as you can see, the maximum order quantity is 20. So this is how my sixth question is done, and this is it for my sixth exercise. I hope you guys like this video. Thank you for watching.